special author. Hello and welcome to this special author spotlight of Zorba Books. Today we have with us Swati Chopra, a seasoned HR leader and author of the book Fearless Being. Ma'am, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Same here.
So first of all, congratulations on your book. You have
Thank
published
you.
your book and
Thank you.
you can just
Yeah. Yeah, that's the book.
Okay, so you have had a very rich career in human resource across diverse industries. So at what point did you feel the inner call to turn your reflections into a book?
Yeah, so Tanu, I have been writing otherwise for last over 6 years,
Yes.
publishing
Yeah.
articles, posts on platforms and
Mhm.
social media. So this seemed like a natural progression.
Yeah.
It's a commitment, sort
Mhm.
of a responsibility that I'm taking
Okay.
to write something more meaningful and like a storyline and
Mhm.
commitment to the readers that they take value from it.
Yeah.
So I felt with the time I had in the last
Mhm.
1 year, it was the perfect time to take that commitment, and
Very
I
nice.
wanted to publish the book. There's another aspect.
Mhm.
I've always been reading a lot,
Okay.
and I see the power of reading in terms of building your thought leadership and
Yes.
building your conviction on what are the actions that you want to take.
Right.
So I felt bringing out a book
That's
will
very
add
good.
value
Yeah.
to others to read and take it forward.
Very good, ma'am. So, as much as I have read this book, I have find this book very practical and very philosophical. So, can you share, do you have a favorite framework or something about the book that you would like to share with your readers?
So one aspect is before looking at frameworks, etc. The book is more about going back to basics. Okay, so even the title, when I'm saying fearless being, we've all lived our lives. So one aspect is appreciating the journey so far and our
Okay.
starting point,
Mm-hmm.
and questioning the things that are happening.
Yeah.
So even if you see, the book starts with what are the tenets, and being curious
Yeah.
starts with the questioning funnel, where we talk about the why, how and what of whatever decisions and choices that we make.
Yeah.
So that's a starting framework.
Okay.
So why, how, what we communicate, why, what, how we internalize, why, how, what we converse, the way we behave. So one is the aspect of questioning deeply, being self-aware,
Yeah.
and then making this journey to whatever changes or whatever progressive human being that we would want to be.
Okay.
So in terms of framework, there are a lot of operating principles that I've spoken. See, framework the thought process is that it's something like a formula.
Okay.
That you can just plug and play, but it doesn't work like that.
Yes.
Operating principles give you that flexibility to fit it to your unique context, your unique needs. So one is questioning and understanding where we begin from, like suiting our requirements, and then using those operating principles. Like my favorite of them is the 5P principle, performance at the core of everything that we do, and then there are the 4 other P's, which is your own personality, people you interact with, the purpose that you manifest, and the plan, which is largely an integrated system that links all of these things. So this is like one of the main frameworks that I keep quoting across the various chapters. Other than that, there are a lot of frameworks like the internalization framework, the ADAC. So when you are planning, like how is it that you make a plan which is which suits your the choices that you make suits your context. So there is how do you automate, how do you delegate, how do you co-create, how do you activate. So there is, depending on the complexity of the job or the choices that you're making. So there are a lot of such frameworks that I have mentioned. the idea is that these are practiced by me. So it was
personal experience. Okay. And if do you think like storytelling or personal storytelling, it helps in leadership context? Like how does it help?
Of course. So storytelling, in the most basic form, stories is a way to interact, build conversations, and eventually build a connect with individuals. So even growing up, like as a child, or when I have a daughter, and I mean, there is a lot of emphasis on reading. Now I feel that reading is a starting point of behaviors like empathy. When you internalize the characters that you're reading about, the background, and what is the context, and what how the story is moving, what is the impact the narration or the character is making. So that's the first step. And leadership is all about empathy. Leadership is all about curiosity. So the questions that you ask, like why this, why not this, or what are the other possibilities the stories could go towards. It could be a fictional story as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be a non-fictional. It doesn't have to be real life, but there are certain possibilities that do come up. So that builds curiosity, so that's an important tenet or a leadership requirement. In fact, in the book, when I started writing, there are those conflicting thoughts, like when the section of the other side is to bring forward those paradox or those moral dilemmas that we have. So you naturally are curious as to why, you why feel conflicted,
like
why
fixed kind of
so I've tried to answer those aspects also in the book, because it's natural. I mean, when nothing is like black and white, there are a lot of things that you navigate, which you will have to build your curiosity and ask those difficult questions. And so through the book I've tried to put across.
And it is very hard. I think it is very hard aspect of writing when you have like so many conflicting thoughts and you have to choose one, like with which I have to go. So
I think it's also my creative process. So when you are when you're practicing the tenets yourself as well, right? So you want to completely make it you play the devil's advocate, like the other side. So you do want to take the other side to make it say, do you have the conviction when you're saying something? So I think that was the whole premise.
Okay, so like in your writing journey, like we are talking about this, so any fears that you have faces, and did you overcome, because you say that you have been working or writing from this last 6 years, so what kind of fears do you have in your writing journey?
So writing at your own free pace, and it's very different. There was no fear. Writing a book, I would not say fears, but yes, when you look at your own experience and the exposure that you have, and you look at your role models, other writers, and what they say, what their writing process is, so you do tend to have an idealistic picture. Okay, so when I am starting to write a book, I should also follow those steps. But then the journey to, again, understanding your own self and what works for you, so that was a journey. I could never write every day. Like there are writers who say that discipline is important, and you have to make an attempt. So so for me it was not, I would not say indiscipline, but I would say it was a creative inquiry more, like 80%.
Your own pace.
80% had to happen in my mind, and a lot of it was also clubbed with, so for example, even as a person, when I'm talking about the tenets, like I am practicing those tenets, right? And I am a person who learns more by doing. So when you talk about the creative inquiry, now curiosity, so I may not have been writing every day, but I've always been curious about certain questions. So I keep researching, I keep watching podcasts, gain lateral thoughts from other fields, get sort of inspired, and then create a structure in my mind, then my writing flow is and speed is very, good. And I don't need to go back to the writing to make any edits or do any fill in the blanks.
Okay.
So that's my creative process, which worked for me. Looking at things from a different frame of reference, so that is also something as a tool I explained in the chapter. What is that frame of reference? So when I shift the frame of reference, does the principle that I'm talking about still hold? So there are stories that I've been able to communicate which fit different aspects, and then bringing out that principle in writing.
So, and if you happen to came across to someone like who is a high profiling individual and who feels stuck, uncertain, like in life or maybe in some other aspects, so how would you what would you like to say to that person?
It's the journey. You should enjoy the whole journey, even if it's a smooth road or a bumpy
It's
ride.
never going to be smooth.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a combination of both. It's not going to be smooth always. So you just have to find, I mean, if you're feeling stuck, then think of the meaningful things you can do to unstick yourself. What are those efforts that will make you come out of whatever that you're feeling. You're feeling low. I mean, everybody eventually, comes through. So there's nothing to be.
It's natural, actually.
Yeah.
It's very natural.
Actually, if you think from that standpoint that it is natural, then you are more mindful of whatever choices that you make. If you are, thinking that it's happening only to you, and again going back to the principle, what about appreciating a journey that has happened so far? You're looking at the bad moments now, but then you've come through a lot. So be grateful and appreciative of that journey. So that will also give you a boost to say that this happens. So you keep moving on.
Okay. And so if from your book Fearless Dream, if you would like to give a one powerful message to your readers, then what will that be?
So in fact there are a lot of powerful messages. Every chapter I've started with a quote.
Okay.
A quote of a famous personality and my own quote, basically concising the experience.
Right.
So there is one favorite I have is don't choose a path. Just pick a direction and start walking, and the path will unravel on its own.
Wow.
So there are many other favorites I have.
Yeah, they will know.
But then this is something which I think even personally in my journey of writing, I don't come from a family who who had authors or who write a lot, and so writing came upon me as a goal. This was way long back when I was working in one of the organizations, and it was we had an exercise that we wanted to take some personal goals, and mine was to write and share my learnings. That was a simple goal. So I had to action on it, and I somehow felt that reading and writing is something I could naturally take forward. So that's when my writing journey began, and that's how. So for me it was just picking that direction and start writing, and then over a period of time it just kept built on, and my conviction came through.
Okay, so we had the personal experience also of the quote that you have mentioned in the book. So that is very nice. And lastly, I would like to ask you, how was your publishing journey of the book with us, with Zorba Books? So would you like to say something about that?
Absolutely, it was good. Two things stand out for me. One is the service agility. So I remember I was talking to Vinod, and I said that for me timeline is important, and you guys did deliver it within the timeline, if you exclude the week that I was not available. And the second was, of course, the comfort. I mean, the fact that we can converse, and I had a lot of doubts, and I remember calling you as well, and so I think that comfort in the partnership, it stood out.
It was very nice, ma'am. And like the journey of the publishing, because we have so many authors, and each author keep a point for us, like that is very important. Okay, so that is the good point about it. That is a good point. So it is very pleasure for us to working with you, and I hope the book will do good.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I do hope that more and more people. It's the other reason is I didn't want to keep a really fat book, because I do understand that people need. I mean, they can't be. They can't afford to have such fat books to read through like a project, right? So
like the thickness also.
It can be very uncomfortable and.
So it is very good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. Fearless Being is more than a book, it's a call to come home to ourselves with courage and compassion. To all our listeners, readers, do grab your copy and take first step towards becoming your fearless self. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.